Only a couple of days ago, the US government decided, surprisingly so, to not reclassify cannabis on a federal level. And it is a surprise because many of the states have already classified it as legal to use both for recreational and for health reasons. Seeing that, we know that the opportunities remain there, and as well as many pitfalls, for the potential for this ascending cannabis industry to provide opportunities for growth for adjacent industries like alcoholic drinks and tobacco, or disrupt them majorly. There's a couple of questions that are obviously arising from this process that is still ongoing. First of all, if there is a correlation between the use of cannabis and alcoholic drinks. I believe by working together, they can potentially have a lot to gain from it. The second major question is, how will the tiers of distribution and the channels used in the US will be best optimized for the inclusion of cannabis within the distribution networks of retailers in the US? And the third major question, of course, is which are the legislative directives that the alcohol industry will provide to the ascending cannabis industry. And we know for a fact that many of the people looking at this now already have the experience and the expertise stemming from the alcohol industry side. The key fact for me, and what we have to remember, the legal industry in the US already accounts for $7 billion. This is the total sales of cider and RTDs in the US in 2015. So the legal cannabis industry, only in its infancy and only existing for only a couple of years, has managed to already reach and quickly surpass two of the major segments of the US alcoholic drinks markets. And I think that highlights the future potential for moving forward.
So if the alcoholic drink and marijuana industries are sitting down for a coffee and a smoke, the tobacco industry's relationship with marijuana is more like a furtive breakfast meeting in an abandoned warehouse. The tobacco industry, its relationship with marijuana is complicated by its own core product, cigarettes. But in the longer term, and up until now, it has disavowed any interest in moving into legalized marijuana. But in the longer term, I think it will be attracted by the opportunities and will certainly see opportunities within marijuana. As Spiros said, the legal marijuana industry in the US is estimated about $7 billion currently. That's only a fraction, of course, though, of the overall demand in the US. And if you look at an overall legal market of about 40 to 50 billion US, that's reaching already just about half the sales of cigarettes in the US. So this is clearly something that the industry will be interested in. I think initially they will look, perhaps similarly as the alcoholic drinks industry, at tiptoeing their way into it. With technology initially, there's a lot of leverages and parallels between the kind of technology that the tobacco industry are currently developing in terms of heated tobacco and other emerging vapor products, and the kind of products that are emerging and will be definitive of the emerging legal marijuana industry. So if you look at Japan Tobacco International, one of their key heated tobacco brands, Plume, they purchased from and was developed by an American company called Pax Labs, which also currently has one of the leading vaporizers of marijuana on the US market. So you can see the linkages are there, it's still slightly oblique. Also, Philip Morris International, the biggest cigarette company in the world, in January this year made a 20 million US investment in an Israeli company called Psych Medical, a company which develops, alongside other things, inhalers and vaporizers that can be used for the delivery of medicinal marijuana. So slowly and over time, the links will grow between the two industries. I think in terms of the types of regulation that the industry will see, clearly they will feel that the consumers of marijuana as an intoxicant may be more well known to the alcoholic drinks industry. The kinds of consumer profiles, the consumption occasions will be more familiar perhaps to alcoholic drinks companies. But the tobacco industry, in terms of the technology and emerging technology, and also their familiarity with what is likely to be in many markets quite complex and restrictive regulation, they will see that they have a competitive advantage in the market in terms of competing.